Good morning. If you like, if you like my content, please like and subscribe. Any comments on the bottom on suggestions of how I could do things better, I'd love to hear them as long as the language is clean. I'm going back to something I started months ago and never got back to. The History of Doctor Who by Doctor. I did William Hartnell. Now it's time for Doctor Who number 2, Patrick Troughton. He was from 1966 to 1969. He had Ben and Polly as his companions starting out because that was William Hartnell's last companions. He would later end up with Jamie and Victoria, and then Zoe. It was the first regeneration ever on TV. Ben and Polly not sure how to trust him. They did the storyline Power of the Dialects. The dialect recognized the Doctor, even different face. Ben and Polly then accepted who he is. They were in he went to the Highlands of Scotland where he met Jamie McCrimmon. He joins the cast. We have the faceless ones, which is where Ben and Polly leave the TARDIS, leaving it just Jamie. And Evil of the Dialects were introduced to where the Doctor gives the Daleks human factors. The TARDIS ends up in the 19th century with the Daleks. They meet Victoria's Waterfield and her father. Her father dies on Skaro, I believe, which was the home planet of the Daleks. Victoria would join the team. She would later... I don't know how to explain what happened to her. I don't even know if it's canon. The Doctor causes a civil war in the Daleks. Victoria goes with, like I said that. Fury of the Deep. Victoria leaves. Will and Space were introduced to Zoe. Zoe has become and Jamie will be his Patrick Troughton's last two companions. Let me go back to Victoria Waterfield. They did a storyline where they landed in Tibet. The Doctor was really returning a ancient artifact, modern day times. Where the monastery was under attack. The abbot was an old friend, but the monastery was being attacked by abominable snowmen, or Yeti, as they were called. They were robots created by a stack in a pyramid of glowing balls called the Great Intelligence. Yes, the Great Intelligence that we would later see with Matt Smith, but differently. Apparently, the Matt Smith meetings with the Great Intelligence takes place time-wise before Patrick Troughton. While in the Tibet storyline, we meet a Professor Travers who was investigating, trying to prove whether the Yeti are real, the abominable snowmen are real or not. And the actor playing Professor Travers had a very close tie to Victoria's actress. It was her father. They didn't tell her that her father was in the was playing the character until they come across each other in the storyline. And the family are very well known in England. One of the top families, I believe, in England. Years later, they did a storyline after Doctor Who was canceled. They did a one-shot special, unofficial, was I do not believe it was part of the BBC, where the Great Intelligence took over the body of Professor Travers. The actor was still alive. Victoria's real-life father, and Victoria was part of it. She was used to try and take over the world. I think she was doing it partially of her own free will, thinking it was her father. Inside the Body, Professor Travers. The Brigadier was in it. Sarah Jane Smith was in it. John Leeson, who was the voice of K9, played a radio DJ in it. And we're introduced to Brigadier Alistair Gordon Lethbridge Stewart's daughter, Kate Stewart. I don't know what her name was or who played her in the special. It was not Gemma Redgrave. She had a son, too. We don't hear about the Brigadier's grandson since they brought Kate Stewart back. I don't know why they've ignored that. Okay. We're also introduced to the Ice Warriors. They're a race of aliens on Mars. Sometimes they were good guys, sometimes they were bad guys. We saw that with the Peter Capaldi Doctor, I believe, in 2 episodes. The Russian sub one, and then the Empress of Mars, I think it was the second appearance. One of my favorite villains, heroes, allies, whatever. During one of the storylines was, no, that's John Pertwee. I'll get to that later. Of course, we had the Cybermen, the invaded Earth. Oh! During the second appearance of Great Intelligence and the Abominable Snowman, the Web of Fear, which we have, I think, 1 episode still existing, the Doctor, Jamie, and Victoria are inside a tunnel inside the subway of London. They get separated. That's when they both come across the snowman. And they realize the Great Intelligence is behind it. Well, the Doctor gets into an argument with the Lieutenant Colonel, and they argued all the time. Ironically, it would continue on to 2, 3, 4, and 5, and 7. He would later become the Brigadier Alistair Gordon Lethbridge Stewart. The actor was in the first Doctor as a different character. Brigadier was probably one of the most loved characters in all of Doctor Who, in my opinion. War Games was the final storyline of Patrick Troughton. We finally, at the end of this, find out the truth about the Doctor. There's a war chief who is a renegade Time Lord, which we aren't calling him yet, who was kidnapping armies from different parts of American history and putting them up war against each other, like the Romans versus the Americans and vice versa. Find out which was the strongest so they could create an army to conquer the galaxy. The Doctor realizes he does not have the ability to get all these people home in one safely. So he does what he didn't want to do. He takes out a bunch of blank cards, makes a pyramid of it, and sends a telepathic message to his race. It's the first mention of Time Lords. The other Time Lord panics, and the War Chief, the Warlord, I believe it was, kills him, believing he was a traitor. And the Doctor and Jamie and Victoria tried to escape to the TARDIS, knowing that the Time Lords were coming. They were slowed down. They kept trying to escape, going to different places, and it just wasn't working. I believe Gallifrey dropped him in the ocean to drown him or force him to dematerialize on Gallifrey. He ends up on Gallifrey. They send a warlord. They disintegrate him into atoms, taking him completely out of history. He never existed. They put a force field around his planet so they could never leave the planet again forever. The Doctor was put on trial for breaking the laws of it because he was interfering in other races, which is against the Time Lord's laws. They tried to break the Doctor out but he ends up being found guilty and exiled to Earth. He goes, I'm well known there. The space could get me in trouble. So they said, you can change form, you can regenerate in a new form. And they sent Zoe and Jamie back to their home timelines at the moment they left, remembering only the first encounter with the Doctor, but none of their travels. Complete mind wipe. And the Doctor sees them going back onto their home world, onto the home times in that, and living hopefully happily ever after. The Doctor is exiled to Earth with a TARDIS that doesn't work, and knowledge of how to run the TARDIS. The Tomb of the Cybermen. That was the episode I was going to bring up. The first appearance of the Cybermen after the last Hartnell storyline was Tomb of the Cybermen. It's how they survived the destruction of Monda somehow. But when they were able to cope, the humans stupidly, not knowing that they were still alive, released them, or tried to. But they were able to seal up the tomb, but knowing that someday they will get out. The Doctor lands on Earth as John Pertwee, the third Doctor. For those who recognize that last name, if you watch the TV series Gotham on Fox, the guy who played Alfred was John Pertwee's son, Sean. Patrick Troughton and John Pertwee were two of my all-time favorite Doctors, and both of them gone. Patrick Troughton is also probably known for being the priest in the movie The Omen, who gets skewered by a weather vane that the Antichrist sent down. Brilliant Doctor, brilliant actor. And I can't wait. I promise it won't be months before I do John Pertwee. I'd like to get this out before the 60th anniversary next. I don't know if it's going to be the first one to the end of this year or not, but I'm going to try and get it done before next year. I still got too many to count Doctors to go. Alright, that's it for now. I will talk to you guys soon. Remember, if you like my content, please like and subscribe. You have a good night. Talk to you soon.